Good morning. Today's October 28th, Disney Daily Motivation. Today we're continuing on with Ryan Holiday's book, The Obstacle is the Way, and things I'm learning as I'm going along. This chapter was called Recognize Your Power. It talks about Reuben Hurricane Carter, the famous boxer who was wrongfully convicted of triple homicide, went from being, a millionaire overnight to in prison. And one thing he talks about in this book is that no matter how bad his situation was, he never lost control of his mind. And having control over your mind, your thoughts, and your emotions can get you through any kind of situation. If that man's lesson has taught us anything. There's a famous saying by Epictetus, a podium and a prison are both a place, one high and one low. That's by Epictetus, a famous philosopher. A prison being one place and a podium being one place. They're both places. One's in a good place, one's in a bad place. But when you break it down, as we do into everything in this channel, they're both places. You choose to define if that podium means something or if that prison means something. It's all in our heads, our perception, how we receive things. Give them the credit, It's no different than if you shop at Target or if you shop at Lululemon or you shop at Gucci. We, the consumer, make Gucci powerful and popular. Is it any better than a handmade bag by a local artist? No. Like I said, this camera's 18 inches away from my arm. I can measure it. You can't measure that one room is better than the other, the prison or standing on a podium or one clothing item to the other. Your perception of that item, of your situation, defines the value we give to it. And me, for sure, I know I've had my value distorted. So when I hear things like this, it gives me great pleasure because me, Franco, I define what's important in my life now, day to day, week to week, hour to hour. Not everything is always as it seems. That man's story, the hurricane, that movie that he's talking about, that boxer, is a great example of being somewhere in life where you don't even belong. Never mind, you don't want to be there, that's clear. And how to persevere through a situation, even though his body was in a prison, his mind wasn't. He read books, he never lost hope, he never lost sight of who he was as a human being. And we can use that type of example anywhere in our life. I've been in jobs before where I was digging holes all day or jackhammering all day, and I had to attack each day like I was the happiest person to be there. People would be like, how are you in such a good mood? We have to knock down this wall for 12 hours today, 7 days a week. I was there physically, but my mind was somewhere else. And I wasn't going to let anything or anyone or any job or any task get in the way of my happiness for that day. That's for sure. And a lot of people are taken back by that because even if they're not even doing the work or the labor, they see you whistling while you work. A jealous person, that'll really burn his ass. If you're lugging cinder blocks all day for 12 hours and they don't break you. A lot of people that employ people, and a great example is that man's prison story is, they tried to break him on numerous things. I won't get into it too much, but the social contracts between human beings, a lot of it is authoritative. Even if you work in retail, you work in sales, that person in charge always 9 out of 10 times, unless you find a good person that you end up staying with, they want to break you to teach you their ways, their system. This is how we do things here. I don't know where you came from last time, your last job, but we go ABC, not DEF. They don't really give you that creative freedom to flourish on your own. They just look at this paper, boom, boom, boom. This is how we've done it, and this is how we're gonna do it, and they're not really flexible in what they want to see out of you as an employee. And a lot of people aren't flexible as far as what they want to see out of you being a human being. You know, that stuff, that trust, that type of attitude transcends workplace. It's life, it's your kids, it's your family, it's your relationships. Only us as individuals can control our emotions and our attitudes and the choices that we make to give things that we perceive to be true of what they are. You might be in prison. You might be working a dead-end job. Or if you are working a dead-end job, figure out why you're there and how to get out of there. But we've all been in places where we can't just leave immediately, and we have to deal with a superior above us. If we choose to give into feelings of hate, anger, and just generally unpleasant while we're doing these tasks that we're not currently enjoying, then they win. Whether it's the prison guard, or your boss, or your family member. So try to look at every obstacle in your life, no matter where it is, as an opportunity to find a solution, a way through. There always is a way through. A nice example that I've always said is to kill them with kindness. No one ever got mad at anybody for being grateful. They might be jealous. They might resent you for being grateful or living a life of gratitude. But so many people, I keep saying, I keep having to cut those out, but you know what I mean? Call your mother. I've been in plenty of rooms where the loudest person in the room is the weakest person in the room. And that's anywhere. You'll see some guy blowing up, a woman flipping out. What they call them, Karen nowadays. I don't know what they have a word for men, but it happens. It's always going to happen. And now I look at that in a different way. I say, well, you never know what they're going through. They're probably not even mad at what actually happened right then and there that's making them have this outburst of emotions or feelings. They just lack the skill to properly communicate better. And everything with this is about communication. I try to take time and think about the words that are actually coming out of my mouth. Even if I say too little, it's because I want each word to be very impactful. I've learned you don't have to say a lot to get your point across. Not everything understood needs to be said either when you're constantly chit-chatting. As I said before, then you're just chit-chatting, and you'll be known as someone that's just chit-chatting. When I speak or take the time to speak to somebody, I want it to be taken as, well, this person, this human, this man, could be a woman, has taken the time to think about what he or she or him has said. So therefore, maybe I should listen. Not everyone does. They're not always going to. But that doesn't change the way that I live my life, nor should it yours, if you're trying to improve your life. We decide what we make out of every moment, every situation, good or bad. That man being in prison for so long, he didn't let it break his will. He showed resilience. He came out, held no grudges. I believe there's a great story about Nelson Mandela as well, who was in prison for, God, I don't know how many years. I'm not too familiar with that story. But there's that story. There's a story of As a Man Thinketh, another great book by James Allen, about people that were stuck and trapped in the Holocaust. And although they were there was this one guy that wrote that book, As a Man Thinketh, and I think they asked him, how did he get through it? He said, I never let them have my mind. These are extreme circumstances of how people survived tragedies. And if we apply these type of lessons to our daily lives, when your car breaks down, when the dishes aren't done, when the laundry's not done, daily things in our life that we take for luxury, that we take for granted, you can complain about having no new sneakers until you meet someone that has no feet. And you quickly feel grateful. I should have said that. There's people out there with no feet. You see somebody in a wheelchair. See, why do we wait till we see someone in a wheelchair to say, I'm grateful for my legs? These are all things that take time and practice. We've been conditioned to luxury nowadays, and we don't take the little things for granted. I always say loyalty, family, keeping your word, practicing what you preach. And the list goes on and on and on. In this example of this book, of this page where we're at, we're talking about Ruben Hurricane Carter, survived prison, wrongfully convicted, threw away 20 years of his life, came out with his brain sharp as a tack because he had control over his brain. Like I said, he never lost control over his thoughts. This also teaches us that no matter what the situation is that we're currently in, I mean, yes, there could be good or bad situations, clearly. But for the most part, nothing is either good or bad. Nothing is either negative or positive. We define what is negative to ourselves in our life. We define what is positive and positive in our life. If I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning talking to this camera, it must be positive to me. I wouldn't be doing it if it was negative. But that's my perception. That's my outlook on it. I enjoy doing this. Someone on the outside looking in might think that that's crazy. He's up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning talking about books that changed his life. That's a negative to them. You don't let anyone define what's positive or negative in your life, I think is the main takeaway for that. Unless you're physically harming someone, then I think it's morally sound to say, do what you want to do. Another quote, Shakespeare said, thinking makes it so. And that applies to, is this a positive or a negative situation? So shout out to Shakespeare. The way we see obstacles in our life, the main topic in this book is the obstacle is the way. For me, if I see every obstacle as an adventure, back to working construction, if I had to lug 1,000 cinder blocks that day, I looked at it like it was a game, a challenge. What's the best way I can look at this situation? Take a minute and I would say, all right, let's not just stop lugging them immediately. Let's figure out the most effective way to get this object from here to here. And you can break down all things in your life like that. Whatever comes your way, look at it like an adventure. Excuse me. Not a problem. This will turn obstacles into opportunities. The more opportunities you have, the more easy it is to get through life, the more good times you'll have over bad times. When you can find an opportunity, or I like to say a blessing in every little thing, your life gets so much better, my friends. See, history has been written by the people that won. You know, all the books that we have on the wars, people's successes. No one's writing books about their downfalls. They might give you snippets of why they didn't succeed and then what they changed to get to become successful. You know, there aren't any bestseller books on the homeless guys in the street that lost everything, or the rich people that became drug addicts and went to jail. They might write a book after, once they reformed their life. But we only hear about the stories that worked out. You'll hear about the stories that didn't work out and up until the point that they did work out. Nobody really wants to talk about the things that didn't work out. There isn't a book out there written of all things that didn't work out. People wouldn't buy it. It wouldn't make sense. But my point being is, we write our own stories. The way we look at things and the way we perceive things, how I perceive this to be a blessing in my life. I created this YouTube channel. How I perceive to tell myself I love spending time with my family because I do. This is my story. I'm writing it. I am in charge. I put the pen to the paper. I put the voice to the camera. We decide how our life's going to play out. Me, today, I'm telling you how my story's going to play out. I'm sharing it with you guys. Hopefully we can learn something together as we go along. People are always going to have their opinions on no matter what you do, for good or for bad. Some people will build you up. Some people will build you up just to break you down. Some people won't agree with you. Some people will agree with you. The main takeaway is none of these negatives or positives have to change the way that you perceive anything in your life. I think that's what matters. How do you want your story to play out? I know I'm just getting started on mine, and I'm taking you guys along for the ride. Guys, I'm Franco. We're packed and ready to go. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I just finished filming this. It's a little chilly. Remember a few things, guys. Remember to stay humble, stay blessed, and stay grateful. And more importantly, make sure you call your mother. Have a nice day, guys.